Hello everybody, hello Professor. We are EduSaver Group. Today we will be presenting our research project which is about the impact of closure of USF College of Education and the possible potential solution to the current obstacle. We will be going through our research project by the following outline. First, we will be talking about the project briefly, and then we will give a background and deep explanation of the problem. Then we will suggest possible potential solution, implementation, and call to action, supporting that with our research data and findings. I'll be starting with the brief talking. So as COVID-19 pandemic hit the world, it caused tremendous impact on world's economy, society, mental health, education, etc. And sadly, most of them are in very bad ways. So having said that, and due to the financial stress caused by the COVID-19 pandemic this year, USF has decided to shut down the College of Education and its undergraduate program to relieve that stress. Unfortunately, this closure will have devastating effects on not just students and USF faculty, but it will also affect the whole Tambak community. After doing our comprehensive research, our team has come up with multiple solutions to minimize USF financial pressure while maintaining the operation of undergraduate education program. These solutions include organizing fundraising campaign, applying for a new educational grant at the government level, incorporating College of Education into other colleges while keeping their undergraduate program, expanding online programs, and experimenting with teacherless school settings in the local communities. Although it's understandable for USF to shut down its College of Education to maintain the operation of the university, this decision fails to consider the essential role of the College of Education in the local school districts and underestimate this decision's viral effect on student, faculty, and the whole Tambak community. We will explore the effects of this decision and the possible solution more with my teammates. Thank you.
Hello, my fellow classmates and Professor Kenner. Hope you guys are doing well. I'll be talking about the introduction and the problem part of our paper today. And our paper is titled as the impact of the closure of USF College of Education and the potential solutions to the current obstacles. I'll begin by introduction. So back in October this year, USF has announced that it will cancel College of Education and most of its undergrad programs because of the financial strain that is caused by the global COVID-19 pandemic. Due to the pandemic, USF has received much less funds from private donors and state level and federal level, so it has to cut down a lot of its budget to maintain its normal operation, and College of Education alone will receive a $6.8 million cut over the next few years, and they will form a new grad school called School of Education under the College of Behavior and Community Sciences. Although all of the current undergrad students who are in the education programs will be able to finish their degree on time. So the purpose of our report is to basically discuss the potential impacts of this decision and to see what are some of the possible solutions that we can have to reduce the negative impacts that are caused by this decision. So the real conflict is between universities' financial interest and local school districts' needs for qualified teachers. USF, the education programs at USF has been a training ground for many teachers over here in campus K-12 education system, and they provide thousands of qualified teachers to the local district. By ending this undergrad programs, the local communities will face a huge shortage of teachers over the next few years. And it seems like USF has made this decision without consulting local school leaders, and many of them have expressed their concerns and anger over USF's decision. And we also did a poll on Facebook, and it turns out 135 out of 136 students that responded to the poll expressed that they're not happy with USF's decision to close down College of Education, and they do not think that's a smart idea. And so for USF to make this decision, we think there are several reasons. The first reason is obviously the financial reason. They're receiving much less fund compared to what they were receiving before. They're planning to cut down $13.4 million on all academic colleges in the university system. And another reason is the enrollment, the undergrad enrollment at the College of Education has decreased by over 50% in the last few years. So there are less students who are interested in the education programs at USF. With less students, it will be harder for university to make money from it and to maintain all the human resources and facilities that are required to run a big department like College of Education. And another reason is USF they're trying to become part of the AAU League, which is a research-oriented university association. And to be part of that, you have to have a really high research output. And obviously, College of Education is not going to satisfy that. USF will need to shift a lot of its resources on STEM majors, science majors, medical schools to be qualified for AAU. So we also think that's a big reason. USF wants to move up its ranking to attract more students to come, to attract more renowned researchers to come, and to make USF a even stronger research-oriented school. So that's pretty much all for the introduction and the problem part. And my group mates will be talking about the rest of the report. Thank you.
Hello everybody. After we have been through the problem and the intro, now let's talk about the solution. So at the beginning, the closure of College of Education at USF has been extremely affecting the local community and the students and the university. The main contributing factor to the discontinuing of the College of Education is that the inadequate funds that run the facilities and managing the expenses at that college. So therefore, we have a problem with the budget, and that's the main core that we have made the shutdown for the College of Education. So we have two approaches to solve this problem. The first approach is finding a way to receive more funds and budget to continue operate the College of Education. Second, USF needs to expand the perspective and develop a new innovative idea to help enhance the education and the environment within the local school district. So first approach in detail. One of the most effective method to solve the lack of funds at USF that's undergoing is fundraising. That the university and the community can collaborate to organize a fundraising campaign, both online and physical, to acquire the essential funds in order to operate the College of Education. For example, we can form a campaign that seeks and help from charitable foundation like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which is well known for interest in providing and improving the education within the Florida communities. Another way to increase the funds that we can attempt to apply for additional education grant from the federal and the local authorities. USF will most likely get that since the government has a responsibility to maintain and improve the education quality. The second approach, the idea would be that to let the College of Education expand its online program. The online education market is boosting the industry, and the university can also gain a lot of profit from providing the quality of education at a competitive rate. Although this option is already exists in the market, the quality still does not match the traditional school teaching. So if we want to greatly improve that USIF, the College of Education, the online program, we can definitely attract more students to enroll, which will lead to increase the revenue and overall. The second approach, still talking about it, another idea for USIF to cut down the budget, that we can do that by practicing a free school, which is unlike traditional school settings. This school will have no teacher to help or manage the school or class. However, the approach may seem unconventional for education, but it's still a great experimental idea to be tested out in the local community. The idea has been done in different places around the world, and one of these places is Boston, which is a free school that's called Assembly Valley School. And also in Paris, a computer school was set up with no teacher in the school to receive, and has received a wild support and interest from the student.
During the 2018-2019 year, USF reported $2.18 million in expenditures for the College of Education. By the end of the 2019-2020 year, USF had reportedly spent $2.19 million. Using this data, we can estimate the USF would need to gain roughly $2.2 million in funds in order to maintain the College of Education for a year. Fundraising for this would largely be made possible by alumni and existing donors. These donations would be organized by the USF Foundation, who already organizes donations for student scholarships, academic programs, and research. During the 2018-2019 fiscal year, the USF Foundation raised $112 million for various scholarships, academic programs, and research. It would take less than 2% of those total donations in order to run the College of Education for a year. For this to be plausible, we'd need the USF Foundation to fundraise specifically for the College of Education, so that no funds are being taken from any scholarships or programs through USF. The university and community can collaborate to organize a fundraising campaign, both online and physically, to acquire the essential funds for the college budgetary needs. For example, we can form a campaign that seeks help from philanthropic organizations such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. By working with different foundations who are interested in providing and improving education in Florida communities, we can collect enough funds to continue the USF College of Education's operations for another year. USF has an option to apply for state and federal grants for additional funding. Examples of this include the CARES Act, which has already awarded USF $35 million. In addition, organizations such as the Teachers Union can work with schools and district leaders to hire lobbyists, to pursue relevant government officials, to approve more funds for USF to allow the continuation of the College of Education. This additional funding may not total the $2.2 million needed to run the College of Education for a year, but it could be supplemental to the funds gained from other sources. We believe that the College of Education can work with the College of Behavioral and Community Sciences to discuss some undergraduate programs that are popular among students and choose to keep them, and incorporate them into the existing college. That way, some of the important undergraduate programs can be saved, while USF can also achieve its budget cut goal. This strategy for implementation is directly inspired by the plan that has already been proposed by Interim Dean Judith Montesel. USF can also work with platforms such as edX and Coursera to provide online programs that allow students to complete degrees virtually. Although this option already exists in the market, its quality still does not match with traditional school teaching. But this would provide a source of income for the College of Education, as students who use these websites are required to pay for admission to the courses and or a fee in order to take an exam for course credit. Since USF College of Education has many renowned and experienced education experts, this institution can explore a possibility and work of a free school closely the local school districts in order to open test sites to experiment with this type of schooling. These educational settings are different as they do not require teachers and focus on students learning and teaching themselves. With these programs, the impact of the discontinuation of the undergraduate programs at USF and the subsequent decrease in the amount of teachers in the community will be minimized. As outlined in the Gantt chart that I have listed in the document, first step of our implementation process would be to start the free school programs in the surrounding community. This way, in the unfortunate event that the solutions we have provided are unsuccessful, then the College of Education is shut down, the negative impacts of the few teachers and the Tampa community is minimized. This is a lengthy process that will need to be completed before students return for the next school year. Therefore, this step is to be done concurrently with other steps and will need to be completed before August. Next, USF should start creating online courses and degree programs. This should also be done as quickly as possible, as it is also a time-consuming process, and as with the solution offered above, it will need to be completed by August as well. Our third step requires the incorporation of courses and degree programs from the College of Education to the College of Behavioral and Community Sciences. As with steps 2 and 3, this will need to be completed before the next school year begins in August and will be done concurrently with other steps in order to accommodate the length of the process. During these 3 steps, step 4 will begin. This step includes applying for grants, and I have estimated 3 to 4 weeks for this process, but this can be changed as more applications for more grants become available. Lastly is fundraising. Based on the total $112 million raised by the USF Foundation in the 2018-2019 year, you can estimate that roughly $9.4 million was raised each month. Because we only need $2.2 million for the College of Education to run for a year, we've allocated 2 months for fundraising to ensure ample time for the funds to be gained. Fundraising will be largely dependent on the USF Foundation. This existing group has well-established means of fundraising and has had much success in the past years. Our group members would be able to offer additional support as needed for each step. Fahad, Peyton, myself, and Rashida would be able to present information regarding solutions, implementation, and a call to action, respectively, to any meetings that may occur during the facilitation of said solutions. During the grant applications mentioned in step 4, Zizan and Osama will be able to provide the university with background information and description of the problem and need that may be able to be used on these applications. Lastly, our entire group would be able to assist with fundraising by presenting information detailing how to prevent the closure of the College of Education to potential donors and fundraising events for step 5.
Everyone, my name is Rashida Bachu. So now that we've discussed the problem, solution, and implementation, I'm going to be talking more about my group's recommendation and the benefits of our recommendation in solving this problem. So as we know, the College of Education at USF is very important for career advancement at the institution. And because of budget cuts, the university had decided to close this college. So basically, our team's recommendation to keep our College of Education include fundraising, applying for educational grants, incorporating the college into another related college, online college programs, and exploring new and innovative education models for the local communities. So the benefits that come with what we have to offer in our solution basically is that we get to keep our College of Education, first of all, but also that we get to have an improved public school system in local communities. And with that being said, the plan of action would be to first reallocate funds for the College of Education and another college. This basically would make time for fundraising and applying and receiving funds from grants, but to have kind of like this quick and smooth transition and the guarantee of receiving these funds, we have to keep in mind the external factors that could possibly take this plan of action, create a disaster, and we wouldn't get what we asked for. And some of these external factors would be like not receiving grants and having no one willing to fund us, or having a fundraiser or multiple fundraisers but not making enough money as we need or what we had in mind as what we expected. So then the second plan of action is to expand the College of Education's online programs. This way more people will have access to the education provided, and it will cost less for the university to arrange. Students will be able to gain college level education from anywhere. Their presence at the institution or a specific location is not required. And this in turn takes a lot of stress off for students as well as faculty members and the university itself in terms of monetary value. And while this plan is being implemented, the College of Education could also on the side conduct academic studies on how to reduce teaching personnel in schools while maintaining the same education quality. This is something that is trying to be researched, and having these local community studies, it can provide a solution to the negative local effects of closing the College of Education at USF. And also these studies can be conducted by USF students studying this specific degree to earn an educational degree, and they can create a positive impact on the community while doing this. This way, both the students and the community are receiving educational advancement in their own way. It is time for the USF authorities to implement, communicate, and put this plan into motion for the education and career opportunities received at the College of Education.